I am an ambient music genius.
Oh, God.
I am Brian Eno's protege, I feel like.
I can't believe you're letting this go to your head this much.
I am the reincarnation of whatever unfuckable virgin invented recorded sound whenever that fucking nerd did that.
Implying that you're also an unfuckable virgin.
Okay.
Yeah.
This bit's done.
Yeah.
I don't like it anymore. Now that you flipped it on me. And now that you've implied that I'm sort of a nerd as well.
Yeah.
I released my ambient music album.
You did.
It is called Somewhere in the Distance, Somewhere Toward the Mountains. If you haven't checked it out, please do so. I don't want to get into the album specifically, but thank you so much for the people who have supported it and that have said nice things about it, because I've heard lots and lots of nice things over the past many days.
The support has been strong. It's been a lot.
And though I don't want to talk about that release in particular, I figured we might spend a good portion of this episode talking about art.
Wow.
And being artists and releasing art.
A concept.
Yeah, because we did kind of tote ourselves as being kind of an art podcast at first.
We did kind of tell like that little lie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and maybe now we should live up to it.
How about we'll talk about art for a little bit.
Uh-huh.
And then we have a stinky little question to get into.
Okay, good. Then like to make up for being like serious and emotionally attached to things.
I probably won't be that serious.
Passionate. We'll then just answer a really disgusting question.
A stinky little question at the end of it.
Yeah.
And because the last episode it was just all stinky questions. And now we're gonna do equal parts art and then a stinky question at the end.
I feel like that's a good representation of us.
Yeah, I think it's pretty good.
Uh-huh.
I think it's not bad at all.
I was saying with we make our little promo videos for each episode,
which are cool, by the way,
and they look stunning. So it's just like some footage that I've taken and you make a nice graphic to go over the top of it,
right? And
it looks so nice, and then you turn the audio on,
it's just us talking about pissing ourselves.
Just absolutely just shit post of a conversation.
Which is a good balance. I feel like that's a good balance. Like very, me too. And I hate to use this word, but aesthetically pleasing.
Yes.
Visuals. Right. But then the actual content of it is at its core
is just horrible.
Yeah, it's not very. It's just dick and piss jokes. And I think if we can just float somewhere in the middle in this podcast, I think that's a pretty good thing.
That would be ideal for me.
Speaking of which, I've seen a shift in the people who are emailing us, and I think people are starting to get it. I think they're really starting to understand the type of content that we would love on the show, because we scrolled through so many good questions. I'm pissed we only get to go through one today, because I'm tempted to just be like, fuck it, we're an advice podcast now and we'll do 3 an episode. But I don't want to do that.
No.
We have too many other things to talk about.
Reel it in.
So we'll do one per show if we can.
Yeah.
And save it for the end.
Yeah, I'm loving our recent writers. It's so good. Please do continue to send us things.
Yeah, and let this episode's question be a reflection of the tone we'd like to set for the rest of this podcast. But before we get into the art, I wanted to ask you personally, how did you like finishing Space Jam?
Oh my god. How did I like the second half of Space Jam?
Yeah, like 3 weeks later.
I didn't like it as much as the first half.
Really?
Actually. Yeah.
It's pretty good.
I did like it a lot.
It was funny. We laughed a lot.
Yeah.
But only because it was pretty ridiculous. And also, every time a song came on, I sang it from memory.
That was the funniest part.
Yeah.
Was you just singing basketball songs. Yeah.
I haven't thought of them since I was like 6, you know? But they're still in. I saw it so many times that it really is engraved in my head.
Yeah. So we'd just be watching something and you'd be in the background like, welcome to the jam.
Hey, stop. And the lyrics are welcome to the Space Jam, okay?
Okay.
That's the name of the
I'm not as familiar as you are yet. I finally finished it though.
Yeah. We're all done with that. Pretty good.
Yeah.
People are often because apparently there's supposed to be a remake of Space Jam starring LeBron James.
Yeah.
Or somebody like that. I know nothing about sports, but like when we're watching Space Jam,
all I know about LeBron James is the vine of that little kid saying LeBron James.
Yeah, that's all you need to know.
That's it.
I don't dive very deep into sports, but I felt like a sports master.
Mm-hmm.
A real sports enthusiast when I was watching Space Jam, and you just had basketball questions that I could answer. That I was like, oh yeah, no, that's this, and that's like this, and that player is this. I was like naming players by their names, but I only know them from Space Jam. I only actually know those people from Space Jam. Much like, I was convinced, and I still haven't Googled if this is true or not, so I don't.
Please, no one tell us if it's true or not.
Yeah,
because we don't want to break the illusion if it's not.
At the beginning of Space Jam, I was like, oh yeah, this is about how when Michael Jordan became a baseball player and then he this or that and blah, blah, blah. Which I'm, now after watching Space Jam as an adult, I don't know if that's true. I have zero...
You thought it happened in real life.
Because I told you it happened in real life at the beginning of the film.
You were like, yeah, Michael Jordan had a period where he became a baseball player.
A baseball player.
Yeah.
And then yada, yada, yada. And... given how Space Jam played out, that might just be the plot of Space Jam. That I thought throughout my whole adult life, I thought that was just true.
Well, that's where you were getting all of your information from.
All I know of basketball is from Space Jam, and therefore I applied that to real life. So if any actual like sports, I don't think that people listening to this podcast have ever
seen
or played a sport.
Yeah,
but there could be a real sports guru out there laughing at me, being like, that wasn't real. That was just the plot of Space Jam, which would be very funny.
Yeah.
I would love to have gone all of my life thinking that Michael Jordan actually did have a stint as a baseball player, when in reality that was literally, again, just the plot of Space Jam.
I like how you only took certain things as, like, you discounted some stuff as being too ridiculous. Obviously, that's just for the film.
Of course, his arm can't stretch like that. That would be stupid.
That was a funny bit for me, because I didn't know how he was going to win the game.
And I knew it was coming, so I was just
and you were just watching me watching the film.
Yeah.
Waiting for me to see his arm reach the entire length of a pitch. It's not a pitch, it's a court?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a court.
Yeah.
Very good.
I only know football. Sorry.
The next movie that we have to watch is Kazam.
Right.
Starring Shaq.
I've not seen so many films, so I've not seen Kazam. I don't think I've seen that Mighty Ducks one.
You've never seen the Mighty Ducks?
Not the whole way through, I don't think.
Wow, they've made quite a few of them.
I don't remember it anyway.
You definitely didn't see any Disney Channel original.
No, I haven't
films.
seen Brink, which I know you're really upset about. Yeah, I didn't have Disney Channel, so I didn't, and they didn't like come out on VHS in England, really.
That's crazy to me. I can't even imagine a reality where I haven't seen Brink. That's
it's shaped you as a person.
Yeah, it made me a soul skater. It really did. It made me
Which
rally.
Means a skater in your soul, but not in your body.
No,
too scary.
I was fragile. I was too fragile to be a soul skater.
Yeah.
In my real life, in fact, I tried and snapped my little arm in two.
Twice.
Yeah. when I was younger, and I don't like to say this on the podcast, but it is true. There's a little factoid about like when I was young, I used to skate around in rollerblades when I was like fucking like 7 years old and like pretend I was in Brink and actually be like, I'm a soul skater and like kind of tell people that. You
would tell people that
well,
you were
I tell
a soul
my
skater.
friends and maybe my brother.
Oh yeah.
Who was only a couple years older than me. So it's more lame. He was doing it too. Yeah, and he was if I was 7, he was 16.
I'm gonna ask him about that.
Please don't.
Because you made it up.
Yeah, no, I didn't. I don't want him to relive it and then to think of other funny shit that happened. And he has a lot of really embarrassing stories.
Yeah.
And I don't want him to think of them or think that it's okay to tell you them.
Yeah, like recently he told me that you got bit in the stomach as a child.
Yeah, I did, by my sister.
Yeah.
So let's not repeat any of this. He loves to, he's like, I can tell that every time that we're all hanging out, he's shaking, trying to not tell you stories about when I'd shit myself when I was a kid.
Joke's on him because I already know them.
Do you know all of them?
I know some of them.
You know the kindergarten one?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's one more.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
About when you were 14.
Yeah, 14 and a half. Well, it was actually my 15th birthday party.
Oh, okay.
So I was not technically 15 yet until the clock struck. But no, okay, how about, God, we said that we would make this about art and stuff, but here's a quick story about me pissing myself.
Oh my God.
It's a kindergarten story too. So when I was in
At this point, people are going to think it's some kind of low-key fetish podcast that we're running.
They can't. They shouldn't think that because I was in kindergarten.
Oh, Jesus.
So
okay.
Shame on you.
Oh, God.
So I am the ripe old age of 5.
Yeah.
And in my kindergarten class, we did like some PE type thing, you know, some type of running around and stuff outside. In the morning, it was like the first thing that we did.
Yeah.
And I really had to go to the bathroom. I really, really had to take a pee. So I was raising my hand to be like, hey, please. And we're all lined up outside at like the basketball court or something. And or just like on the pavement somewhere. And I'm raising my hand and I'm like, oh, please notice me. I really have to fucking go to the bathroom. Please notice me. But everybody's doing like, you know, it's just a group of fucking 5-year-olds pretending to do jumping jacks and stretches and stuff. So she can't fucking see what I'm doing. She just thinks I'm stretching or something. And I'm like waving my hand being like, please pick me. Pick for what felt like 5-10 minutes, you know, just being like, ooh. And I'm like way too nervous and polite as a kid to actually walk up to the teacher. I was just raising my hand hoping that she would call on me, and she didn't. And I pissed myself. I pissed my whole pants. And I remember right afterwards, like pretty much while I'm pissing myself, she's just like, yes, Mitch. And I was like, can I go to the bathroom? And she's like, yeah, sure. And I walk to the bathroom covered in pee, and I sit there being like, what am I going to do? What am I going to fucking do? And I was like, well, I have no choice but to go back to class.
But to eat my own shorts.
to juice them.
Tell her that I lost them.
I have to juice my own clothing and drink it. That's what I have to do. No, I went back to class smelling of pee, and I can't imagine people didn't notice. I had to have just been the kid that smelled like pee. And I tried to just avoid people all day. And that specifically was a day where we had to like, it was just one of those days in kindergarten where they, like our class went into another class so that we can all sit on the ground and watch a movie.
Yeah.
So I had to be, there was like twice the amount of kids in that room that should have been. So I was like sitting in a group of a whole bunch of kids that had to smell me. And we were specifically, I particularly remember we were watching a Goofy movie, one of my favorite films, and I just couldn't enjoy it because I was covered in my own piss. And I was like, how much longer until someone like calls me out and says, hey, you have to go home. And I went the whole day covered in piss, and no one said anything to me. No one actually said, I'm not saying no one didn't notice, you know, or I'm not saying nobody noticed. I'm saying no one
brought it up.
Nobody said anything to me.
Is it? Thank God that they pitied you enough.
I specifically ate lunch alone that day. Yeah, and then when my mom came to pick me up, I was like, she was like, "How was school?" And I was like, "Fine." And then I went into my room and I stripped off all my clothes and I put them in like a corner. And then I juiced them. Yeah. So there's a quick little story about me pissing myself that you've never heard before.
I have never heard that, and it's really cute.
It was fine. It was not the best.
Yeah.
Any piss stories?
Me?
Yeah.
Not any that I want to tell.
Not any interesting ones?
Peed myself on a bus one time.
Wow.
Yeah.
That must have been pretty rough at 16.
It was not that far off.
Really? Holy shit. Tell me just the age. You don't have to get into the story, but just tell me the age.
I think I was like 12.
Wow. 12 is still a kid.
It was a really I was on a bus, and it was a really long bus journey, and also it was winter, so it was dark outside, and
so it was cold.
It was so cold, and I'd been waiting for the bus for like 20 minutes, just shivering, and I got on there. Oh my god, I really need to pee. Oh my god. And then like I'm like, it's okay, I've only got like, I didn't want to get off the bus and wait for another bus to come, you know? Like, and also there wasn't really anywhere to go on any of the bus stops. It's just like,
right,
you know. And then I get to a bit that's like on a motorway, so there's no stops for a long time. God. And I'm just like,
I'm pissing.
Well,
I'm doing it. Oh god, on a bus too.
Yeah.
That's gross.
I peed myself on a bus and I had to walk home.
Wow.
But I was wearing a skirt.
Ugh.
That makes it better.
Does it?
Yeah.
I figured it just got everywhere. Did it just get everywhere?
But it didn't. It means like I didn't have like a patch on me. So
okay.
Okay.
Did it leave you and get on the bus?
Yes.
That's disgusting. That's so gross.
I told you.
At least I didn't.
Told you.
At least
I
didn't
want to tell you.
At least I didn't piss on anything. You really did piss on a bus.
Not a whole lot, just a bit.
So yeah, peeing yourself on a bus is one thing, but you pissed on a bus. You got your piss on a bus. And then you left the bus and left your piss there. Right?
I guess.
That's really funny. That's super punk rock. I have to say it. I've never done anything that punk. Wow. I feel like I have to top you now.
You're gonna piss yourself right now in front of me on the podcast.
Yeah, and I'll piss on the microphone. I really will.
Please don't. It's so expensive.
Let's please start talking about art.
Okay.
All right. I'm so sorry that
you cornered me into that.
I know.
Yeah.
But I like the story.
I saw the look in your eyes. I was like, he doesn't want to hear this, but he's gonna prod me for it. Yeah.
I like the idea of us knowing each other so well, but sharing a story we've never shared with each other on the podcast.
Yeah.
That's cool. Let's switch the tone.
Okay.
Art. Being an artist.
Yeah.
Lots of people out there, lots of listeners out there. I know are artists.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of you are what you would like to call aspiring artists. Not what you would like to call, what they would like to call. They like to call themselves aspiring artists.
Yes.
And this is the first thing that I always tell people, and it's very, very generic advice, but I still give it a lot, and I've been giving it for very many years, is to stop that.
Yeah.
Is to no longer do that.
That is the first piece of, that's the first thing that they told us when I went to art school, art university.
So it's like I'm a professor, is what you're saying. I give the same advice as a professor.
Yeah, you do. You got the same knowledge.
Cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they were like, stop calling yourself an aspiring something or an amateur something or anything like that. Just make a website, get some business cards, and start doing it, and start calling yourself it.
Right.
You know?
Do that thing.
Yeah.
Even if you start out not very good at it, then what people's opinions will be like, oh, they need to grow, or maybe your opinion of yourself is that you'll need to grow, or something like that. But I also think that your opinion of yourself should be that you're doing the best you can, and that it's and that you're doing a good job and stuff. But we'll get into that in a second. First thing you need to do, stop calling yourself an aspiring something. I know many people out there who are listening to this right now refer to yourselves as aspiring photographers, aspiring writers, especially. I'm an aspiring this or that. You can take a photo tomorrow. You can write a poem tomorrow. You can write anything right now.
Yeah.
And then the moment you do, you're a writer. You can do those things. You can post them online, even if it's scary. You can do all of those things. And once you do them more and you get into the habit of doing them more, that's the only way you're going to get better at them.
Yes.
So you have to start that now.
Yeah, there's this kind of tendency to be like, oh no, I'm an aspiring blank because I don't know enough about it yet, so I haven't started.
I didn't know shit when I started.
You need to start in order to start knowing more about it.
Yes,
though.
That's true. That's very true. Here's a pretty generic question: what age do you think you were when you're like, I've been a writer, or an artist? I've been around, because your main thing is photography. Yeah. But you still are really good at writing.
Thank you.
And you do other forms of art, and you're a creative person. You're an artist. What age do you think you were like, okay, I became an artist at this age? That's when I started doing art.
I want to say probably like 18, 19.
Wow, okay.
19 maybe. I don't know. Yeah. That's when I first started like consciously organizing things and being like, I have a project, I'm visualizing it, I'm organizing it, let's do it. Yeah.
I was about...
That's not to say it was good, but it was at the beginning.
I mean, I would even just like... I think I was still calling myself an aspiring this or that at like age 14, even though I was like writing poems and stuff. But, you know, it was not very often, and it was usually only when I had a school project. But at 16 is when something just kind of flipped in my head, you know?
Yeah.
and I started to write a lot more. Just a lot of bad poems, just a ton of them. I just filling notebooks, I would always just carry notebooks with me and just write stuff, write little thoughts, write little 4-line poems, 3-line poems, just how I was feeling. Some of them, most of them were very bad. It's also the same age that I started Flat Sound, when I was about 16 years old, and got into recording. That's when I got into art. Was not good. It just was not anything close to good. You got to start not good. You have to start not good. But start now.
I told you the other day that one of my, an art thing that I did when I was a teenager was that I somehow convinced my friends to let me spray paint their bags.
Oh, yeah.
With actual spray paint, and then they couldn't get it off for a week.
Yeah.
So that wasn't great, but the pictures were cool for a teenager.
Right.
Know? Yeah.
Let's see. What's a generic?
I was collabing with people as well when I was 19. Yeah, with my friends who were graphic designers or makeup artists or whatever. Yeah, and we'd make stuff together.
When I was, I'm trying to think of a good example of a generic art thing that I, a generic creative art thing that I did when I was a teenager. I would paint a lot, even though I was dog shit at it, really, really, really bad at it. And then would just especially as a teen, you're just learning this stuff. So the things that you do are very cliche. They're very just this is I don't know what it means, but it means something, And one really classic example of that is there was this canvas that I had and I painted something on it, just some generic Jackson Pollock-esque splatter. And then on that same canvas, I drilled through my iPod onto the canvas.
Which iPod?
My original one.
Oh my
I know.
God.
I wish I just should have kept it, but it stopped working for a year at that point. But it's such a classic thing.
Where is it?
I threw it away, I think, officially when I moved into the last house. Yeah, or maybe I still had it there, but then I threw it away at some point. It's no longer with us, for sure.
I absolutely would have framed it.
Oh, yeah, just as an early art piece by little 16-year-old Mitch.
Yeah, of an iPod that doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
It would have looked a lot cooler if the painting behind it wasn't total dog shit. It was complete dog shit. It looked so bad. Even at the time, I was that's not what I saw in my head,
oh, fuck, this Pollock guy kind of...
Yeah, he kind of had a...
It's harder than it looks.
Yeah, he had a rhyme and a reason, I think. He kind of had a method. Yeah, and he was doing it on very large canvases and really just... I'm doing it on this little one. It's the only one I can afford. Yeah, I did that, and that's a really good example of just but I was still creating. I can't tell you what that piece meant because I was phoning it in at the time.
Yeah.
I was really hamming it up even then. So do that. Just create. Especially when you're young.
To use a good self-help term is you gotta run the rusty tap.
Is that what
they say? It's
run
what
the rusty
say.
tap. I like that.
You in an old sink that you gotta run it and it's gonna come out all orange and horrible at first. You gotta get that shit out of the way first.
Yeah, we gotta explain this to
before the pure, clean waters of creativity can flow.
And then slurp. You gotta drink it all up, baby.
Yeah.
So what's another general tip that you would give people?
My favorite general tip to people is about consistency.
Okay.
This is, when I say it, I learn it in regards to photography. But you can apply it to other things as well. But in photography, it's okay, if someone's, not even if someone's paying you for a shoot, but if you're just publishing a shoot somewhere, the thing that's going to make it look good is not if you edit every photo in a different wacky way,
Oh, I see what you're saying.
You want an entire set of photos to look the same, to have the same feeling to them, to, have the same, not a preset applied to all of them, but they've got similar reds in the shadows and stuff like that. And then further than that, not that all your photos have to look the same, but they should have a similar tying feel to them all.
Yeah.
And you can definitely apply that to other stuff as well. To visual arts, to to musical arts.
Yeah, because, my thing is music.
Yeah.
So a similar tip that I would give people for any of the musicians out there is that I feel that a very, very common mistake that people make is that early on, they'll say like, you can't define me. I'm undefinable because one song will be inspired by this, and then the next song will be totally fucking this other genre, but then the next song will be this or that. And that's not as eclectic as you think it is.
Yeah.
It's not nearly as valuable as having a sound that you can comfortably call yours. And to have that not be the same on every album or the same with every track in that album, but something that feels cohesive as one album.
Yeah.
Because that's what separates being able to do an album and make it feel like an album, then it just feels like a mix CD of this, not very good music that you make, because you're not quite good at rapping, but you're also not quite good at this other thing, but you're also not, you haven't put in all the time to be really good at this instrument, but you haven't done all this stuff, when you try and spread it out too much. And like, this is coming from me, and I feel like Flat Sound does touch up on a lot of different shit, from ambient music to like lo-fi bedroom music to spoken word, but those are like my main things. And I took a lot of time to get good at those things. And I don't really separate them.
They're of a similar thread.
Yeah. I don't necessarily separate them per release. I'm sorry, I don't make them flow into one another like that in a single release in a big way when it comes to genre. When it comes to wildly different genres, like, you're doing fucking hip-hop and then folk that's reggae inspired and this or that. Especially if you don't have the chops to actually pull any of those off in an honest way, it's going to sound bad. And I know a lot of people listening right now are thinking that that's going to be their strength in music, and I guarantee you, it's not as valuable as defining your own sound.
You want a niche.
Yeah.
And you want to settle into
And like for a person, because
and you want to fit honestly into it as well.
And it will feel way better years later when a person is just like, oh yeah, that person sounds like, and then they're able to say your project as a reference, and especially if that's a good thing, you know? I had a lot of friends early on years ago who all said the same thing. I just want one release. I think it would be so cool if like one song was reggae and another song was like this genre and another song like, it's weird. They all mentioned reggae too. I was like, all right, cool.
Fine.
All right. Why are you talking to me? It seems very strange.
Yeah.
Another very, very easy, but pretty hard to, it's a very hard to swallow pill, is that you shouldn't expect anything for very many years.
Yeah.
You should start creating now and see where you are in half a decade.
Yeah.
Give it 5 years. Like, that's what I tell people, 5 years. Give it 5 dedicated years of you trying this thing and just see where you are. 5 years is going to be the beginning of your career still.
Yeah.
Start now. 5 years is going to be the very beginning of your career still. See where you are in 5 years, because many people give it 6 months and say, nah, I don't want to do this anymore. No one cares about my stuff. Blah, 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 whatever.
Many people go through 3 entire years of college, and then if they're not famous by the time they get out, they're like, well, wrong path for me. It's like, you haven't
started
yet. You've barely
yet.
started being a baby.
You've not done the thing yet.
Yeah.
As much as it sounds like bullshit advice, I do feel like the very general, like, practice what you want to do it all the time, and give it lots of time is extremely good advice. Is really, really good advice.
It's really strong.
That people don't want to take because they want a shortcut.
Yeah.
They want the thing that's like, but how do I just do what you're doing? And it's like, you got to work at it you got to chisel away at it. Like, you have to.
Even if I told you specifically what I do, that wouldn't help you, because you wouldn't know what any of it meant or how we got there.
Right.
You know?
Which I think is also it's a good test.
Yeah.
It's a really good test for people to just like, is this for you? If I sat here and explained every part of my career, from how I record a song, mix a song, release an album, to how I do merchandise, to how I stay self-sustained without a label, to how I reach out to the people that print that merchandise, to teaching yourself about e-commerce platforms and shipping services and how to actually ship something, to And that's a small portion of it.
Mm-hmm.
People want to learn all of that in a day.
Yeah.
You teach yourself step by step one of those things, and you get really good at it. But I guess what I'm saying is that a lot of people have reached out to me and they're like, hey, I want to do a merch store. Mm-hmm. How do I do a merch store? And I go, okay, I can teach you everything. And I teach them everything, and they're like, that's too much. And I
that
go,
sounds like a lot of work.
That's the simplified version. That's what I figured out.
Yeah, because
I already
they didn't
made the
have to
mistakes
go
for
through
you.
10 different versions of that didn't work.
That's the finished version that I'm giving you. That's the easy version.
Yeah.
That you can set up. And it's, like to do it all in one day would be expensive. You need all the printers and all the this and all the that and all of these services that I use and all the this or that. What you should do is not ask the initial question of how and figure it out yourself.
Yeah.
That's real DIY.
How can I do it within my own means right now? Yeah. The knowledge that I have, how can I expand that knowledge?
In my honest opinion, there's nothing more DIY than doing it yourself. That's how I'm going to start to respond to people now.
Yeah.
I go, there's nothing more DIY than doing it yourself, bud. You gotta figure it out.
You gotta you gotta learn this thing
It will
yourself.
help them so much if they figure it out on their own, though. And it's a good
It'll help
test.
you out. It'll help you as a person. You don't want to end up as one of those 45-year-olds that can't be bothered to learn how a printer works. Okay?
But that's every person in their 40s or 50s.
I know. Everyone hits a point where they stop learning or stop becoming enthusiastic to learn.
Yeah.
And I don't want to do that.
I think we're gonna eventually. We're gonna eventually hit a point where we're like, some age, and we just have to ask people, just be like, my emulation VR system to my HD fleshlight isn't working. And I just not gonna know how to use it. I'm not gonna know how to fucking do that thing. And I used the old thing for too long, and now it passed me up.
The old manual flashlight.
Yeah. The Auto Blow 4. I worked it into the ground. I really did. On fleshlight jokes, I think we're done talking about.
Okay.
That's serious stuff for a little bit. But as a quick wrap up, because I know that people are always asking us speak about art and what it means to be an artist. And
because we've got a few of these questions to the email address as well. And we don't want to there's a lot of them that are just like, how do I art? And
how do I make art?
We don't want to respond to all of those individually because, so this is just some general advice.
And it sounds like such whack general advice, but I really do mean start figuring it out yourself, because it doesn't matter what microphone I use when you're first starting out, because I'm not first starting out. You don't want to use the microphone I'm using right now. You pick any microphone, you pick any camera, you pick anything like that, and you make it work for you right then. And then when you do have the means and you do have the money or you do have the opportunity, because for me, when I was younger, opportunity meant I got something for free or for very cheap, or I didn't have money. So I got a mix board from a friend. I got a this or that. I borrowed a microphone. I did this or that. I used whatever was in front of me to make the best thing that I could.
Yeah.
And I think that's what you should do. Because I feel like you're wasting your time asking these questions about what you should be using, and you should be using anything, and what you should be doing is making the thing.
I massively agree with that. People used to ask me a lot which camera I used for photography.
Yeah.
And the only reason that I think I'm halfway good at photography is because I started with film cameras from charity shops, from you call them thrift stores here. And they're manual, so it forces you to learn the mechanics of a camera. Forces you to know what an aperture is and stuff like that. And it's cheap. You pick up one of those for like £15.
Right.
Film's not cheap, but makes you appreciate it more. And you learn stuff, and it's better for you.
There's that famous photography quote that was, it's something along the lines of like, the best camera is the one you have with you, or something like that, right? That applies to all art.
Yes.
You can create very, very good things with almost anything that you have. My God, the computer that I mixed and mastered Sleep and I Clung to You on were fucking junk. Like, they were just beyond shit. They were so bad. And the equipment that I was using, it was just 8-track. It was a 4-track recorder at first, and then an 8-track recorder, and then a 16-track recorder, but they were all just multi-track recorders I was using, not recording straight to PC because I didn't have the money.
Yeah.
The art doesn't get better with the equipment.
No.
And in fact, this is the last thing I'm going to say before we start to get into the stinky little question. But the last thing I'm going to say, because I'm very passionate about this, is that, and I've told a lot of people this, and I mean it from the bottom of my heart, limitation demands creativity.
Yes.
When you're limited with something, the only way to get it done is to be very creative, and and it's harder. It's harder to get that thing done, but you have to really love the art in order to do it. It was hard to make I Clung to You. All I had was a Fostex 8-track recorder that's now on display in my living room because I love it so much. But it's a broken little machine that sits behind glass, you know? Yeah. When that's all you have and one microphone, and you say, I want to make an entire full-length album that has this and all this stuff on it, and I'm only going to make it with this thing, it demands you to be creative. You have to be creative.
You have to explore everything that you can do within those parameters. And then when you do eventually grow, it means that you know each piece of your equipment very, very well as well.
And that will make you a better artist.
Yeah.
That'll make you a way better artist. It'll make you so much better of an artist than if you were handed a perfect studio.
Oh, yeah.
Because then you have to start with the nothing, and you will do amazing things with that nothing.
So you're in the perfect place right now.
Yeah, you should be excited.
She's right at the beginning.
Yeah, you should be stoked. I was talking to somebody just recently who showed me some tracks. It's like their first tracks that they've done. I was like, dude, this is fucking good. This is really, really good. And I was like, dang, I feel envious. I feel really, really
that you're at the beginning of this learning curve.
Yeah, because it's fun at first, you know. Figuring out is it's really, really fun. You're really passionate about it. It's just it's cool.
Yeah,
it's really cool. So,
good stuff.
Hopeful words from us. Create art.
Yeah,
create it all the time.
Create it on a budget. Do it yourself.
Yeah, and don't not create it because you think you don't have the same microphones or the same cameras that we do. Because even the stuff we create on now is pretty limited.
Yeah.
Not a lot.
Nope.
Nicer than what we had when we started by a long shot.
Yeah.
Nothing crazy fancy. You don't need that. There are wishing tracks that were recorded with the internal microphone on my laptop. There are flat sound songs that were recorded, I mean, just with the worst free microphones that I got from thrift stores. You find a way.
Beautiful.
Cool.
And now, on to our question. Yeah?
Yeah. Okay. This question is called, can you drop it down, make that ass stop talking to me? It says, hi, Bill and Mitch. They called you Bill.
I hate it, thanks.
Loved your recent stinker of an episode. It actually made me start thinking about some personal issues I've been experiencing lately / my whole damn life. I have IBS and narcolepsy type 2. The only thing that has been working for me lately has been drinking a big cup of coffee in the morning and continuously throughout the rest of the day. But, well, the coffee doesn't mix well with the IBS, and your latest episode about people shitting themselves started to concern me. Do you have any methods for how I can function as a person without worrying about my ass involuntarily opening up constantly? Before Mitch tells me to go to a doctor, know that I have gone to my doctor for another issue, depression. And I was given a med that has helped tremendously lately, but is also just one more factor in that ass constantly opening wide for that porcelain prince. Checkmate. What do I fucking do now? Love the show. Love you too. All the best. Thank you. Sincerely, this person's name, which I'm not going to say.
Checkmate.
I like that sentence just as a thing. Let me
well, actually, I have depression and it made my shitting worse. So there. Yeah. Take that.
I guess. I don't know who wins. I guess it's the porcelain prince himself.
I guess it's Big Pharma at this point. I guess they've won again.
I guess my doctor cut a huge check for himself. And now I'm shitting constantly, but I'm less sad about it.
Which is what I'd prefer out of the two options.
This person wrote a postscript that I'm going to regret reading on the show. But I'm going to read it? I'm going to read it on the show.
Oh, wow.
I'm going to read it.
Brave.
In the first or second episode, the third episode.
Yeah, third.
Yeah, because that's
the one that I specifically told my mother not to listen to.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, Deborah, if you're listening now, please, I'm so sorry.
Please turn it off.
There's a postscript here. In a previous episode, we talked about the very famous John Green post on Tumblr that had been edited about how much he loves sucking dick and balls.
Yeah.
And this person wrote something that was that same thing except ass themed. And I'm going to read it now. And it says, ass is one of my favorite tastes. Not only that, but the anus smells amazing. It makes me go a little crazy on it, to be honest. Like, I cannot get it far enough down my throat to be satisfied. I'm only satisfied when I feel those intense, powerful, septic, hot pumps of shit down my throat. When I sit back on my heels, look up at your hole with shit all over my mouth and slobber running down my neck, hair all fucked up, and wipe my mouth with the back of my arm and ask you if I did a good job, and you cannot even speak because I've drained all your sewage out of the chasm of your anus. That's when I'm satisfied.
This is the worst fucking thing I've ever heard.
This person typed that to us, made us read it, and now here we are. So yeah, now what? As soon as this comes out, that audio of me saying
that's
that just exists.
Clipped. Yeah.
That's fine.
Getting clipped and uploaded onto every tube site you can imagine.
Anyway, we picked a question we really don't have advice for.
We don't have a fucking answer for this. Yeah, we just wanted to read it, is the thing.
There's so many good one-liners in it. But let's see if we can actually get some advice for this person.
Okay, so the problem is
they have IBS.
They also have narcolepsy. So to combat the narcolepsy,
they're drinking lots of coffee.
They're drinking coffee. Coffee, though, as we know, laxative.
Yeah, it's kind of a laxative, so I hear.
Yeah, so you hear.
I don't really drink coffee.
You never drink coffee.
I used to drink it as a kid, but I don't remember it having a laxative type effect. But all the adults in my life are always just like, yeah, coffee makes me shit.
Yeah.
So I believe them.
Yeah.
Would you second that?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I'm looking you up and down now. I'm going to feed you coffee. So to combat the narcolepsy type 2, they're drinking coffee. I don't know if that actually works for narcolepsy.
I wouldn't know.
I wouldn't know either.
I would not know. We are not doctors. One off the top of my head, there would just be, if it's the caffeine, if you're liking the caffeine and you think that's helping, it's just take Pro Plus instead.
What's that?
It's just a caffeine pill.
Oh.
Doesn't have all the coffee in it.
Oh, okay. So that'll just make them not shit as much.
Hopefully.
Okay. So they have IBS. They have narcolepsy type 2. They drink the coffee to combat the narcolepsy, but it's making the IBS worse.
Yeah.
They've already been to a doctor for depression.
Yeah.
They got a pill. They take the pill.
One of the side effects
is that it makes them shit.
Yes.
So they're 2 for 2 on things that are not helping.
Yes.
What do I fucking do now? Probably not right into a podcast.
Probably go back to your doctor again and explain.
Visit the old doc and say, look, bud, you didn't nail it.
Yeah.
You almost nailed it, but you didn't nail it. Maybe something to treat the narcolepsy? Can you treat that?
It's pretty hard to treat.
I've only seen narcolepsy like referenced in media as a joke.
Oh yeah. No,
so
it's only, not that funny.
No, of course not.
My good friend Pew has narcolepsy.
The tape person?
The tape person.
I love them.
Yeah, the noise artist. Yeah.
Very talented.
Yes. They have narcolepsy, and from what I gather, not very easy to treat.
I would imagine
or to diagnose or do anything about.
Do you just get very sleepy, or do you actually just fall asleep?
A bit of both.
Because in media...
It involves like memory lapses and stuff like that as well, because of how sleepy you get. Yeah.
In the media, they're always kind of, it's done in a comedic way.
Yeah.
So it's always kind of depicted as being like, I'm driving a car and now I'm asleep, which would be
which is horrible,
terrible.
Yes.
But yeah, it would just be like, yeah, I'm on a date. Now I'm asleep in the chair. Now I'm this. Oh, it's so embarrassing. It's almost like a Mr. Magoo type of
yeah, I believe
I got myself into this mess now.
There's definitely a movie where Mr. Bean plays a narcoleptic.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it's that kind of a mimey kind of character. Yeah.
Mr. Bean is kind of hot.
Problematic.
We cancel Mr. Bean.
I really want to tweet that Mr. Bean is problematic.
Is it because of the narcolepsy thing?
Well, no, because that wasn't the same character. It was the same actor, though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Then the actor is problematic for taking on the role and not giving the... Yeah. Canceling Mr. Bean would be funny. Not as the actor, but as the character.
Yeah.
Like how people are... We've essentially canceled Apu, right?
Yeah.
So as a character, Mr. Bean canceled would be funny.
Gone. Good riddance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See you later.
I'm sick of it.
Your country loves Mr. Bean, right? We only kind of like him. You guys love him.
I hear him referenced more here than at home. You've shown me several battle raps that reference him.
We do think he's at very least a little cool.
At the very least, a little hot.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. He's got a 6-pack that won't quit. I'm assuming.
I'm assuming under that brown suit and teddy bear.
Dressing like Mr. Monk. But so we've been watching King of the Hill lately.
Yeah.
And I was talking to you a little bit about how I feel that not quite in the same Simpsons way, because I'm not one of those people that thinks that Apu being looked at as a problematic character is a bad thing. I'm very much on the team of it's not my place to say. Like, that's the... If an Indian person tells me it's offensive, why the fuck would I say no, it's not? You know? Why the fuck would I tell them?
You're wrong, actually.
Yeah, no, you're wrong about being offended about something that's directly about you and not about me. But so many fucking people are just saying that.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely not that. Mm-hmm. But watching King of the Hill, there is a character. There's a family, and they live next door to the hills, and it's the Supanusinphans. Mm-hmm. And they're from Laos.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like Vietnam adjacent, right?
Yeah.
And the person playing Khan, the husband, we looked it up, is a white guy.
Yeah.
And it's not like I looked it up because I was like trying to find something problematic about it. I looked it up because the episodes aged a little poorly. They're just a little bit hammy. They're a little bit kind of hammy. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't feel as bad as Apu, but I'm afraid now we're going to see, and if we do, if somebody from fucking Laos or even just that part of Asia is like, this sucks, I'm going to be like, yeah, I could see why.
Yeah.
But man, King of the Hill is such a solid show too. Like, it's good, right?
Yeah, I've been enjoying it.
I think it's very good. I think that Mike Judge, like, it's just one of his masterpieces, you know? It's so good and it's so funny. Mm-hmm. Aside from the celebrity episodes, which fucking suck.
It's so bad.
We just saw one today. It's so bad. I really do think, and I don't want to be the catalyst to this or anything like that, but I think that eventually
you've been known to get some people canceled.
Yeah. I just think that eventually we're gonna like look at that and you know, because it's already aging a little bit poorly, and mm-hmm. I think that. But then again, I mean, what are people expecting the outcome of that to be? It's not a show anymore. You know, Simpsons is still running. Exactly. That's the issue of it, is that they're still doing it.
Yes.
I think maybe that's why it's a problem.
Yeah.
But it is a little unfortunate to be watching. And the issue is
also that they kind of addressed it in that weird,
in a bad
half-assed way. Yeah, where they would say, we're not going to do anything about it. It's like, oh, cool, thanks.
Yeah, that sucked.
Yeah.
That was kind of shitty.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
The show hasn't been on the air for a long time.
So it's probably fine, right? I think it's my place to say it's fine. I think it's up to me to say that, yeah, you shouldn't be bothered by it. Fuck it. That's what people really do.
That's what people sound like.
That's what people really fucking sound like. Yeah. They're really just like, no, I'm not offended by it. It's not about me, but...
So why would I be offended by it?
Why would it bother you if it doesn't bother me? Mm-hmm. And with that said, we are about 50 minutes into this episode, meaning we are all out of time.
Yeah, that's us. We're dumb.
So, you know, we actually, we went the entire episode without introducing the podcast or saying the name at all.
Very
or
chill of us.
Saying our own names.
Yeah.
Or our website or our email or anything like that.
Okay, so thank you for listening to All the Space in Between.
If you would like to write in, you can go to allthespaceinbetween.com and check on the side there. There's our email. It is allthespaceinbetween@gmail.com. Mm-hmm. And also on our fancy website, you can listen to any episodes or anything like that.
Yeah, you can give us a follow. You probably follow us already, though.
Right.
You should.
Yeah. Our social links are on there, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. And also, if you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts, please... rate and review us.
Yeah, especially if you're from somewhere that isn't the US.
Oh, you know
that's
what?
Cool.
We keep saying we're gonna, or we said last time at least, we're gonna read some of the reviews on there.
Oh,
so maybe we should
do
it
next
time.
Episode.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So leave a review. If you're listening to this, leave a review, and we will read it, and give us a good rating.
Yeah.
It's helpful. I don't think it's actually helpful for us to chart, considering we're only charting in like Slovakia and shit right now.
But it is helpful for our
self-esteem.
Egos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It makes me feel like good.
I do love to chart in Slovakia though.
When people tell me I'm good, it makes me feel weirdly good.
Oddly satisfying.
Yeah, it's oddly satisfying how I just had one job, and that was to feel good on my cake day.
Get out.
Okay.
Okay, I'm kicking you off the podcast now.
Thank you for listening. We will talk to you next week.
Bye.
Bye.